And when we told her over the radio, like, yeah, that front door, like, there's a guy right behind it, keeps firing through when we try to go through. And then she just like hellfire missile like took out the door. So I've always wondered who that was.
Yeah.
Because I've always wanted to be like, just, I don't know, buy her a beer or something.
Right? Hell yeah,
she
dude.
was cool.
Rolling. What's up, Logan?
What's up, man?
Thanks for being here, brother.
Yeah, of course. Appreciate you having me.
Let's just start off, introduce yourself, and let everybody know what your branch of service, the years you served, rank you got out at, and the job you signed up for.
Okay. So my name is Logan Joyce, and I'm from Orange County, California. I grew up in San Juan Capistrano, and then now I live in Laguna Niguel.
Right on.
I joined the Army, and I was in from 2010 to 2017, and with a little bit of break in between, but I was active for 4.5 years, and then reserves for a little over 2 years.
Nice.
Yeah.
What job did you sign up for?
So I signed up as a chemical operations, so a Seaburn specialist, and I did that for a while, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
right on, man. Talk to me just about your upbringing, man. What where did you grow up? I know you said San Juan, but what was your childhood upbringing like?
Yeah, so I was born in San Bernardino, and then up until 2nd grade, I grew up on the mountain, so like Running Springs, Big Bear, Lake Arrowhead. And then I moved off the mountain when my mom got divorced when she was younger, when I was like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And so then my mom got remarried a little while after, and then she split from that guy, and that's when we moved off the mountain. And so we moved down to Orange County, and I was down there ever since.
Yeah.
But usually just grew up with like my mom, as like the main parent, and then my stepdad for the last since I was like 10.
Yeah.
9 or 10.
Right on. When'd you get into skating?
So I got into skating when I was I first saw it when I was like 7 or 8, and my brother was doing it outside. I was like, that's super cool.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I want to do that, but I didn't have a skateboard, so I asked like my parents, or like my mom. I was like, hey, can I do that? And she's like, oh yeah. She didn't take it seriously. And then finally, like my grandpa got me one like a year later. It's like a little crappy Nash board from like Walmart. And then like it just took off from there. I skated that like every day.
Nice.
And just since I was about like probably 8 or 9.
Nice. Yeah. And still getting after it.
Still getting after it. A little older now, so it's pretty painful, but everything doesn't work the same.
Yeah. So what inspired you to go into the Army?
Yeah, so my 2 older brothers were in, and they were a huge inspiration on me when I was growing up. And so my oldest brother, he joined, and he was a human resources specialist in the Army. And so he traveled to like Germany and did a bunch of stuff. And so I was like, that's super cool. He wasn't like the best dude, like for a lot of reasons when I was younger. And then to see him, like change his life and do really well in the Army, I was like, all right, well, it's beneficial. And then my other brother, also older than me, he joined, and he was a cavalry scout. So I thought that he was like super badass for doing that.
Nice.
And so I was like, if they could both do it, I could do it too, So the Army was like it was a second option originally because I was trying to go Air Force. But the Air Force wouldn't take me. So I went to the Army instead. And
why didn't they want to take you?
I had a criminal background when I was younger. Yeah, I got in trouble skating, stole some benches. And I got in a little bit of trouble doing some little skate rat stuff,
Oh yeah.
Destruction of private property, and like grand theft was like the
vandalism shit.
Vandalism, but grand theft was what the charges were stuck because we stole benches.
Yeah.
And so yeah, they caught me.
Oh man.
They got me good.
They give you a felony for that?
Yeah, they gave me a felony. I had to do a program. That like dropped it from a felony to a misdemeanor because it was my first time major offense. And so I did that program. I had to do like community service and a bunch of other dumb stuff. Go to these classes with like gang members and like drug addicts and stuff. And I'm sitting there like, I just took some benches to skateboard.
Yeah.
It's like some dude talking about how he like almost killed somebody over like the smallest thing, and another dude talking about how he was like slinging heroin. And then it's me, and I'm like, I took some benches to skateboard.
Oh shit.
Like, I don't think I should be in this class. Like, I'm just a skater.
Fuck, that's crazy, man. And so that So that affected you trying to get into the Air Force, but the Army was like, fuck it, we'll take you?
Yeah, the Army made me do, that, what they call it, it was a waiver. They said I wasn't morally qualified, so I had to get a waiver to get into the Army. So I had to go to all these boards and like stand in front of like colonels and stuff like that. And
Yeah, wow.
pretty much like express that like I'm not a piece of shit, 100%. Like I probably am a piece of shit, but like express that I'm not like this giant turd that like wouldn't qualify for the Army.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, you're physically and mentally qualified, but you don't fit the moral category. So I had to get a waiver for that, which like eliminated like 70% of the jobs that I qualified for.
Fuck.
So I had like a small list of jobs I can do, and one of them was Seaburn.
Oh.
That's how I ended up in that position.
Right on, man.
So I never understood it because I was like, I know there's so many people in the Army that have done like, I know there's programs that like specifically put people in the Army was like jail or Army, and I'm trying to join the Army, and they're like, no, you don't qualify because of like, to me it's still like a small thing. Like
Right.
I took benches.
Dude,
like,
that's fucking major small. You didn't fucking, it's
they made it out to this huge deal. Like they arrested me at school, like put me in a cop car, took me to jail.
Wow.
I like sat in jail for a while, and then they like had my mom come pick me up later on, put me all through this like whole process to just for some benches.
Fucking A, dude.
I was just a little skate rat, man.
Yeah. So, man, what was it like going into the Army for you, man? You being a skater, all this, it seems like a whole different fucking new world, man.
It is a very different world. As a skateboarder, you're kind of like, fuck authority and like running from cops, and you don't really listen to anybody else but like what you want to do. And it's kind of it's a very individual thing. And the military is like the complete opposite. The Army is very like structured and like do as you say and like listen to your hires. And so it was like a tough little gap, but I mean basics straightens you up pretty quick.
Yeah.
So
and then so you were doing the chemical shit. I know when I was in it was called NBC. So what type of training did you have to do to become that?
Yeah, so it used to be called NBC, which is Nuclear Biological Chemical. And then after, I forgot what year it was, but they switched it to CBRN, so CBRN, Chemical, Biological, Radiological, Nuclear. And the training was pretty gnarly. Like, you do a lot of like gas chamber training and CS gas, and then like some of the gnarlier trainings, like you go through like a radiological chamber, like a nuclear chamber pretty much, and there's like radiation in there. You have to like detect the radiation, and like it's a pretty weird feeling.
Wow.
And then another one that you do is the I think it's called CDTR, Chemical Defense Training Facility, CDTF. And you go through like a real nerve agent chamber, like a live nerve agent chamber.
Yeah.
And it's pretty, I don't mean to use the pun, but it's pretty nerve-wracking,
Yeah.
So it's pretty wild to be in there. You go in and you get in full mop, and they like check everything like multiple times, and you have to like be very diligent, like very specific about how you put everything on, and make sure there's no leaks, no breaks in any of your equipment. It's like the gnarliest form of confidence training ever.
Fuck.
But you go in there and they like spray nerve agents everywhere. And it's all over the place. And like you have to detect it, you have to test it, and then you have to like clean it, decontaminate it.
Yeah.
And then there's like instructors standing by, like with NAT kits. Like NAT kit is nerve agent antidote kit. And so if they think you're infected, like they jab it into your leg or jab it into your ass.
Fuck.
And it's just like it's like an EpiPen.
Yeah.
So it's just like a pen, and then like they pull the cap off and like jam it. And the fucking needles just.
Dude,
so it's pretty gnarly, but luckily I didn't get infected.
Dude, did you ever fucking witness anybody getting fucking jabbed? Because
no, I never saw anybody get jabbed. You do testing with like one that doesn't have any of the stuff in it on like dummies and stuff, and they did play a trick on me. So like my biggest fear is needles.
Yeah.
Like I'll jump out of planes, I'll go to war, I'll do whatever, man. I'll climb into like a like a tank with sharks. It doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure I'll be super scared, but
Yeah.
but if I have to get like a flu shot or something, dude, I have like a panic attack.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so like obviously when I was in training for that, and they're talking about like the NAT kits, it's kind of having anxiety attacks, you know. And they played a trick on me, and my instructor found out that I had a fear of needles, and so he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck with Logan, and I'm gonna fuck with Joyce."
Right.
So he had like a dummy needle, didn't have a needle in it, and he was like, "All right, this one doesn't have any of the antidote in it, so it's just like a training needle, but like someone's gonna get stuck, so you can see what it feels like, and like you know you could do it." And I was like, "Dude, I hope he doesn't call me," but it was specifically for me. And he was like, "Joyce, get up here," and I was like, "Dude, no," and I was like, you know, especially like as a brand new private, you're not gonna tell like a staff sergeant or a sergeant first class, like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah.
So I'm like, "All right," like, I'm like walking up there like already paranoid and like freaking out. And he's like, "Just jam yourself." I was like, "I don't want to do that," you know. I was like, "I don't mean to be disrespectful, sergeant, but like,
Fuck.
like, can I not?" He's like, "No, you have to do it, or I'll drop you from the course and I'll make you like a cook or something." And I was like, "Fuck." So,
Wow.
yeah, so like I was like freaking out, and I was like, didn't want to do it, and then like I just did it, and there's no needle in it, so he was just playing a trick on me. So I was like,
shit.
"Ah," and I was like, "Oh my god." So,
Fuck,
yeah,
man.
He was like, "Gotcha." So that was pretty scary.
It's crazy that because in the Army you fucking have to get a lot of shots,
Yeah, dude.
right? I don't know what I remember getting fucking smallpox, anthrax,
Yeah.
fucking hep, all the fucking shots you get all the time, especially if you go
100%.
overseas, right?
Yeah, dude. Basic training. I say like one of the worst days I ever had was that like first or second day at reception,
Yeah.
and you just go through the shot line, dude, and it's just like,
A fucking gauntlet, huh?
Dude,
Both
it's
sides of the
gnarly.
arms.
So I have a funny story from that day, but I knew it was coming, and there's no way around it. And so I get into the shot line, and I inform the drill sergeants at the time. I was like, "I have a fear of needles, so like just let you know." They're like, "Whatever." So I walked through, and like I somehow made it through the initial shot line. And I was like, "Oh god!" And I got like stuck like twice, then twice, then twice. You just keep getting stuck. And I made it through, and I was like, "All right, I think I'm okay." And then I walk around, and they do the penicillin shot too, the peanut butter shot. But I don't know if it was like this for you, but they hand you the needle, and it's like cold. And so I was inside the room. There's like a bunch of other new privates like waiting around, like standing around next to you. And they walk around, they hand everybody the needle, and then like the person comes around and grabs the needle from you and sticks you. And it's cold, like the needle's super cold. And they're like, "If you want it warmer, you got to warm it up." And I'm already freaking out because I'm holding the needle, and I'm like, "Oh God," you know. And so they come around to my side, and they like take the needle from me, and they're like, "All right, drop your trousers and turn around." So I turned around, and I'm like on the wall, and like before they stuck it in, I'm like, I'm getting really lightheaded, like extremely lightheaded. And they're like, "Go to your knees." So I go down to my knees, and then they stick it in. And I just felt half of it go in, and next thing I know, I pass out.
Oh.
Yeah, and I wake up from smelling salt, and there's like all these drill sergeants around me. And they're like, "Get up!" And I'm like, I don't know if you've ever passed out, but like, when you like faint or pass out, you like don't know where you are when you wake up.
Wow.
Or like everything prior to passing out felt like a dream.
Yeah.
So I woke up and I was like, "Oh my God, where am I?" Like,
Holy shit,
so it was
dude.
the worst.
And in boot camp of all places.
At all places, boot camp. So like from there on, like the drill sergeants knew I had like a fear of needles, and
I was just gonna ask, did they fuck with you the rest of boot camp?
dude, so much, all the time. So it was pretty bad.
Damn.
So,
That's
but I made it
fucking-
through the shot line. So to me, it's like one of my biggest accomplishments. It's like
Yeah,
I was able to conquer. I still am afraid of needles, but I was able to
Fuck,
conquer
man.
that fear.
I can't imagine, if you have that fear of needles like that, what that must have fucking felt like. That's, oof.
And I've been through like multiple, like, you go through like CLS, like Combat Lifesavers course, and like you have to do like IVs and stuff like that. And I made it through those. I don't know why. I can stick needles, I can do like the IV needle.
Yeah.
But if it's done to me,
Oh, yeah.
then I start having like, and I can do tattoos. Like,
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, you're fucking tatted up. That doesn't bother you?
it doesn't bother me, man. Like, I can sit through tattoos and just,
Yeah.
I think it's something about like the needle penetrating into the body that like fucks with me, you know?
Right.
Like it's, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
It's, since I was a little kid, it's like,
Crazy.
I'd rather jump out of a plane or like out of a helicopter
Yeah, wow.
than just get like a little baby shot, you know?
So, where was your first duty station?
Yeah, so I got stationed at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. It's 101st Airborne.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so my first unit was Baker Company, 1st of the 506 Infantry Regiment, 4th Brigade Combat Team, 101st Airborne Division.
God damn, Army's got all this fucking like...
Yeah, it just keeps going, man. It keeps going up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I loved it there, actually, though.
Really?
Yeah, I was never... So I was a Seaburn dude at the time, and I went to an infantry company, and I'm sure you know, like, from the Marine Corps, too, the infantry has a pretty stricter, like, different mindset from, like, everybody else.
Right.
You know, like, you're the top dogs, and, like, you're a bad motherfucker, you know, and, like, everybody else is, like, a pogue.
Everybody else is in support of you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got there, and even on day one of being there, they were like we're all in processing, and, like, I get to the unit, and they're like, all right, this guy, 11 Bravo, this guy, 11 Bravo, this guy, 11 Bravo. And then they get to me and they're like, 74 Delta. Like, what the hell are you? And I was like, chemical. And they're like, fucking pogue. And they just started making me do push-ups like immediately. So I was like, just because I'm not infantry, man, like they're giving me shit. So it took a long time to like earn the respect of like everybody else. So
yeah, that's it reminds me of like the corpsmen in the Marines.
Yeah.
You know, they're not a Marine, but they're corpsmen, and you know, they go there, they earn their respect, and we fucking love our corpsmen, man.
Yeah.
You know, they're fucking one of us. You know what I mean? Yeah, but you gotta earn that. You gotta earn that.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah. Where'd you deploy with them?
So I went to Afghanistan. Yeah, I went to Paktika province.
Okay.
Madahan and Sarhauza would be the 2 areas I was in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was that like, man? What was that deployment like for you?
It was weird. Like, there was some, I forgot who said it, but the best way I've ever heard it explained, and it's like very, like it still sticks out in my brain, is like war's long stretches of boredom with like sudden moments of like chaos.
Right.
And that's how ours was. Like there was months where nothing would happen. It'd be super boring, dead, dry. You're playing spades all day.
Fucking spades was
Dude,
the game,
spades is
dude.
the game.
And you had did you have multiple partners, or did you just stick with one fucking?
So we would play with multiple partners, but I remember when we would play. So I was part of the mortar squad. So that's what I did most of my time when I was in Afghanistan. I was a mortarman, like not MOS qualified, but like cross trained as a mortarman from my buddies and stuff.
Right.
And that's what I did when I was there. And so I would play, like the mortar squad would play all the time. So like my buddy Cruz, my buddy Hinnant, and my buddy Wilson, we all played spades all the time. And man, usually me and Hinnant would be on the same team. Sergeant Hinnant.
Yeah.
And we would just crush it. He was an old Southern boy, I think from like North Carolina.
Nice.
And he was like, boy, you know how to play spades? So I never heard of spades until I joined.
Me neither, bro. That was the first time in the military. Yeah.
And now I love spades. I still play it on my phone and stuff, dude, because like nobody around here plays spades.
Yeah.
So like, dude, I love spades.
I love it, man. My partner was this guy, my boy Richie Caputo from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And we played with each other so much that we had little fucking signals on what we were, like we could just look at each other and he'll know I had like, you know, the fucking king of spades. Right? He's like, hey, throw it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like, we got in so many fucking fights on ship over fucking
it gets
spades.
heated.
Dude.
Especially if you call your books and like, if you're like, all right, I got 3 and a P, and you get like 2, dude, you're dead.
Yeah.
You're done. Or if you like cut one of their books, you know, if they play like the king, like a king of spades.
Yeah.
And then you throw like the ace of spades on there, so like you're dead. Dude.
Fuck, man. People are just got all that pressure built up, ready to
Dude.
fucking unleash.
Yeah. But spades is probably one of the coolest games ever, dude. You just set an MRE box up.
Yeah.
Just everybody sits around bullshitting playing spades.
Absolutely, man.
Dude.
Did you guys do anything else on your downtime other than spades?
Yeah, so our JCOP had, it was like helicopter pad, or like helicopter landings on HLZ, then it had like an AMP compound, and then our building, and then it was like all the walls and the towers. And then in the middle, had like a little cement patch, and we had put up a basketball hoop, just like drilled it to the wall. And so we played like,
Oh, nice.
yeah, we played 21 a lot.
Oh.
And so like even our first sergeant would come out and play. He'd come like wake us up from like, he'd be bored in like the morning or something like that. And he'd come wake people up. Like, Joyce, get up, motherfucker, we're playing 21. I'm like, all right. Like,
Yeah.
Roger for summer, you know. So that was cool. We play that a lot.
Yeah, it's dope. Earlier, you know, before we rolled the tape, you and I were talking about the Tabasco and the fucking. Did you ever fucking do that to anybody?
Yeah, not on deployment. I did it in certain training and like in the field and stuff. We go to the field and I take the Tabasco and I take a bunch of them, put them in the MRE packets or the heaters.
Yeah.
Shake them up and then toss it with someone's bunk. You got to roll it up, make sure it packs up, you know. And that was fun, man. I taught some friends how to do it.
Yeah.
It's super funny when like, so they didn't have them when I was in active, but in the reserves, we got these like one-man hooches, like one-man tents. Super cool. And so I would do it there, shake it up when people were sleeping, and then unzip their one-man tent and put it in and then shut it, dude. So a few people.
That shit sucks, man. Yeah. I've tested that on myself before I did it to other people. And
it's pretty brutal.
It's fucking brutal, man.
Like, it's not as strong as CS gas.
Yeah.
But being that it's just Tabasco sauce and like whatever's in the heater, it's good.
Whatever
enough.
that is, huh?
It's
I don't even
enough.
know what's in that fucking heater, but it would fuck us up.
It's bad, man.
Damn. So, man, what kind of chaos did you run into in Afghanistan?
Yeah, so like I said, there was a lot of downtime, a lot of boring time, but there was a few IEDs that like the unit, like our company and platoon hit. Luckily, I wasn't in one of the trucks that hit them. It was one of our front vehicles that hit when I was out. There was a lot of IEDs that we didn't hit, that we pulled out. And then there was some firefights and some like wild stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. You got into it, you were talking earlier about like this you got in an 8-hour fucking ordeal?
Yeah, so it was about 8 hours. We pulled up in this village and we didn't even know anything was going on in there. But I'm not sure who it was, but someone got word that there was like Taliban in the village. And so I was driving at the time. We pulled around into this like center part of the village. And then we got like intel that they were inside the Kalat. And so we were like cordoned around the building. And then some guys, like a group of our guys walking up to go into the Kalat, and they started lobbing grenades over the wall.
No shit.
And like firing like through the door.
Yeah.
And like shit was blown up next to the truck. And
wow.
Like shots were being fired at us. But they were in like this big Kalat. We couldn't get in, but there were civilians inside. And so like they came, like tried to get all the civilians out, like trying to get the civilian to go back and forth to get everybody else out. And Taliban was still in there. And so luckily we got everybody out and like no civilians were like injured.
Yeah.
But once that happened, then we had air support too, so we utilized that pretty heavily.
How did you differentiate like the regular civilians from the Taliban? Because they're fucking dressed the same, essentially, right? Yeah,
and I've always wondered this too, and I've always wondered if like some of the people we got out that day were also Taliban, but...
No doubt, man.
I mean, maybe. The guys that were shooting and throwing grenades over were obviously the guys that were trying to kill us, you know,
right.
and you know, from what I know, there could have been other guys that got away, but
yeah,
there was 4 that day, and they were in the Kalat, and they stayed in there when everybody else got out, and then one tried to jump and flee. He like ran through a field, and he got taken out. And then another one was in a tower. That tower got destroyed by our air support.
Fucking, that's so
Same
fucking
with like
dope to see, huh?
Yeah, dude, it's pretty cool, and I've always wondered what her name is. But there was a female Apache pilot that was one of our air support, and when we told her over the radio, like, yeah, that front door, like, there's a guy right behind it, keeps firing through when we try to go through, and she was like, okay, so you're telling me you have a door, but you want an open garage. And like, I always thought that comment was super funny. And then she just like hellfire missile like 2 took out the door. So I've always wondered who that was.
Yeah.
Because I've always wanted to be like, just, I don't know, buy her a beer or something.
Right? Hell yeah,
she
dude.
was cool.
That's fucking dope, man.
Yeah, so to whoever that was.
Yeah, man. How long were you in Afghanistan?
A year.
Wow, that's a long fucking time.
So August to August 2010 to 11.
Yeah. What would you say like are some of your most like memorable moments being out there?
I think I'd probably say like the downtime, like camaraderie building that I had, like some of the overnight missions were just sitting in like the mortar pits, you know, like waiting for fire missions. You know, you get to like BS with your buddy
Yeah.
and playing spades, like playing 21.
Yeah.
Stuff like that's really memorable. And then like aside from like the combat missions and stuff where you have to like go out and do stuff, I think there was a lot of like little kids and stuff that I could see the joy in their face, because like I bring like candy with me and like anything I could to give out to them, and I think that was really cool because when I was there, I didn't really want to be there. It was not something I wanted to do, but I was there, so I'm going to do it. And it was cool to see a kid that probably like never really met Americans or like never had access to anything, like things that we take for granted.
Yeah.
And to give him like a candy bar, like to give her like a little like lollipop or something, to see like that joy just from like this one small thing. I think I always remember stuff like that, and I think that was really cool, you know.
Yeah, I remember that too. When you say not wanting to be there, like you didn't like intend on going to combat? Or?
Yeah. When I was joining originally, I know my brother was already a Cav Scout, and he told me, like they both told me, don't join the Army.
Yeah.
Like, both of them were like, go Air Force, go Navy, do something else.
Right.
And I was like, all right. So like I tried to go Air Force, and they didn't take me, and I was like, I'm not going Navy.
Yeah.
No offense to Navy guys, but
yeah.
I just didn't want to be Navy. But they told me not to go to the Army. I was like, all right. And so then I was like, I'm going to go Army. And then they told me, like, don't join the infantry. Don't do any combat MOSs. And I was like, all right, we'll see. And then my mom was like freaking out too. And so I was like, all right, I kind of, like, it'd be cool. You know, everybody wants that like badge of honor to like be the tough, badass dude. But I was like, whatever. Like, I'm not really doing this for like a long-term career. I'm just joining because like I need to do something. So I was like, I'll sign up for whatever. And not gonna lie, the chemical operations dude looked pretty cool in the video. So you know, I was like, it's not like technically combat MOS, but it is in a way if you're in the right setting. And then like from my experience, it was like direct combat MOS. Yeah, I didn't want to do it initially, and then just by like pure chance, I like ended up right back in the infantry.
Damn.
So.
Yeah, that I've heard that. I've heard that from plenty of vets, man. You know, a cook in the Army who's like, I didn't want to go in for any type of war or anything, and ended up in some shit in Afghanistan, like crazy shit, man. Like,
absolutely.
You know, did you have any fucking like scary fucking moments? I mean, being in war is already fucking nerve-wracking and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
I remember one. Well, there's a bunch of scary moments, but I remember we find IEDs all the time, and like I'm not an idiot. I'm not gonna walk up and start scraping at it, you know.
Right.
But the ANA and AMP, I don't know if they just don't. I mean, they have to know better because like they live there, like they're there 24/7. It's not like they're there for a year and leave like us.
Right.
But they like that's their country and that's their city and town and village or whatever. But they would so many times just like hook up like a cable to an IED, like a barrel filled with like shit, and just take their Ranger trucks and just rip IEDs out of the ground. And like, yeah, they didn't blow up all the time. Like for us, if we found an IED, you have to stop and like call EOD and wait hours for EOD to come out and blow it up and carry on. And we did that a shitload. But for like the AMP, if we found it, they're like, no, we'll take care of it. And they just rip it out of the ground. And like, to me, that was really scary because half the time they wouldn't even look or let anybody know they were doing it. So you'd be like pretty close, especially if you're like on foot.
And AMP, that's what, like Afghan police?
AMP is Afghan National Police, and then ANA is Afghan National Army. And so we were stationed, or our JCOB was shared with the AMP, and so we had AMP on post with us all the time. and then we were pretty close, and we went and cross-trained. Well, we went and trained them, the ANA. Their little base was not far from us.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
we went to them quite a bit.
Wow, that's fucking crazy. They're like,
Yeah.
fuck, it's typical out here.
Yeah, they're just like, fuck it.
fucking rig it up and yank it out.
Pretty scary.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
You also went. You said you went to Korea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was in Korea for a year and a half.
Wow.
And I loved it.
Did you?
I love South Korea. It's another place. South Korea was a place. So at the end of I was coming up on my re-enlistment window, and I was still at Fort Campbell, and I loved my unit, but I kind of didn't want to deploy again because it's not what I wanted to do anyway, and I don't know, I just wanted to get out of there. But my only two options was re-enlist for stabilization or go to Korea. And I was like, fuck, I don't know what to do, you know?
Yeah.
So I chose Korea because I didn't want to deploy again and get stuck there for longer. Part of me wishes I stayed, but,
Yeah.
you know.
What'd you love about it?
So I had no idea what to expect. I'd never studied Korea and my history aside from minor bits of the Korean War and then shit going on with Kim Jong-un.
Yeah.
Kim Jong-il. And so I didn't really know anything about Korea. And when I got there, I was kind of depressed because I didn't want to go. But then I got there and met Katusas, which is Korean augmentee of the United States Army. And they were just super cool. And I thought the country was really cool at first. And I was like, all right, I'm going to make the most of my time here. So most soldiers go over there and just party every weekend. That's all they do, which I did plenty of partying too. But I spent the majority of my time in the first 6 months studying the language, studying the culture.
Wow.
I took college courses on Korean language, and I went to the free classes, and then I had my Katusas every day teaching us stuff.
No shit.
Yeah,
man.
and so that was really cool. So I got really good at speaking Korean, not fluent, but good enough to get by on my own, you know, I could pick up what people were saying.
You could go order food.
Yeah, I could order food. I could order tickets to things. You know, I could talk to the cab drivers and ask for directions. And
wow,
it was really cool. Yeah, so that was a huge benefit, and it made my experience 1,000 times better than what most people do. So I started going on tours to random villages in the middle of nowhere, Buddhist temples and
no shit.
museums and stuff. Yeah, so I had a blast.
You did it right, man.
Yeah.
Because I think about all the places that we've been, and you're right. All we care about is fucking getting off that fucking ship and partying and fucking getting trashed. And then when you look back, you're like, fuck, I had an opportunity to see a lot of cool shit.
Yeah.
And instead, I just went straight to the bar. You know?
Yeah, it was cool.
Wow.
Yeah, my wife, she didn't get to go with me, but when she did come out to visit, we were just talking about this the other day, but when she did come out to visit, she was like, all right, what are we going to do? And I was like, I got a whole list of stuff for you to do, you know, and I took her to a bunch of museums, and I took her to a bunch of really cool tourist stuff that most soldiers, when they brought their spouses out, they were like, let's just go party, you know, even then. And I'm like, nah, let's do this right. So we went to the DMZ. I took tours up there and checked out everything up there. It was really cool. We went all the way up to the border.
Oh yeah. Wow,
that was
crazy.
super cool.
You seen the fucking North Korean
Yeah,
soldiers
so
standing there?
there's a building. I forgot what it's called, but you've seen pictures of it and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of memes. It's right where Trump walked, you know, step over. Mm-hmm. That's right where we were. So we didn't walk up to the line. Well, we kind of did. There's rooms to the side, and when you go in, you can technically go into North Korea by being in there because it's a neutral zone. Mm-hmm. And so you walk over there and there's guards and stuff, and then you can see the North Korean guards on their stairs staring, and they tell you when you're there don't take pictures. We'll tell you when you can take pictures. We'll tell you what you can take pictures at. Apparently there's been a lot of incidences where people do stupid shit at that area. And,
I bet, man.
North Korea's what are you doing, you know?
Wow.
It's pretty nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
These dudes, at any moment could just say fuck it, you know?
Yeah. I've heard a lot of stories from Thailand. I've never been there. Okinawa, Japan, like the banana shows and all this kind of crazy shows, you know? Any of that stuff going on in South Korea?
No. Yeah, I didn't really experience. Yeah, see, like I feel like Okinawa, like I feel like Marines search for that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
we definitely fucking
yeah, you guys are
dude.
looking for that stuff, but that's like your bread and butter. But yeah, I didn't ever find anything like that, and I'm sure there's plenty of weird stuff.
Yeah.
But I think for me it was a little different too, because I was looking for like the real culture of it.
Well, it sounds like you did it right, man. Like,
Yeah,
like
I had
you know,
a blast, man.
Yeah, you actually, you know, took advantage of being there. And
Yeah,
fucking
no, I love South Korea. I'm still friends with a ton of Katusas,
nice.
and when I was out there, I skateboarded. Like I picked
Really?
up skateboarding again when I was out there, because I didn't skate for the first like 4 years in the Army.
Yeah.
And then in South Korea, after doing all that stuff and like learning the language as much as I could and like touring around, it's like I've done most of the stuff you can do as like touristy stuff. So I'm still gonna do things here and there and try new things and have fun. But like, what else can I do? And then I found a skate shop one night, and I was like walking around, and I was like, oh, sick! I'm gonna get a board.
Nice.
So I started skateboarding again, and then I met like civilian skateboard, like Koreans that were skateboarders, and then like started hanging out with them, and then I got to like tour different cities skateboarding.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
As part of like this little like Korean skate culture. And I was
Wow.
like, this is super cool.
That
so I'm still friends with like Korean skateboard civilians. I'm still friends with like Katusas that I served with.
Like back there, you communicate with them and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fucking
I talk to my
badass.
buddy Kim all the time.
Nice, man.
Yeah, he's like a huge Doosan Bears fan, so like baseball's really big there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like I went to like some baseball games with him.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, dude, it's really cool. I have a Doosan Bears like jersey at home.
Wow.
Yeah, and then yeah, I'm still friends with him. We chat here and there. And
That's
then,
awesome. What was it like for you transitioning out?
Yeah, so I transitioned 2 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I got out of active duty the first time, and I had a really rough transition that time. I'd say both times, honestly, were really tough. So yeah, transition.
What were you struggling with, you think?
I think a big portion was like loss of identity and like loss of support. You know, at the time that I got back, I wasn't skateboarding, and I was kind of just floating around, hanging out with old friends, and just trying to figure out what I was doing, and I had no clue. So I was going through like a rough time, and there was throughout like me and my wife had been married at that time. We'd been married for like 5 years, but we had only spent maybe a year together at most.
Wow.
You know, like we got married, then I left for basic like 6 months after we got married. And I was in basic for 6 months, then I got stationed at Campbell. Then like 3 months after I got stationed, I'm in Afghanistan for a year. Then I come back, and then I'm home for like 8 months. Then I get shipped off to Korea for a year and a half, and she couldn't come. So then I was in Korea for a year and a half, and then I came back. I got out then, and like, you know, like we'd only spent like a year together pretty much.
Yeah, you gotta you gotta be a strong spouse to handle something like that, you know?
Yeah, and even when I was back, like I went to JRTC down in Polk. You know, I went to air assault school and like a bunch of like, you know, WLC, like Warrior Leaders course, like all these different courses, like advanced chem school stuff. Like I wasn't even home when I was home, you know, I was training and stuff. So it's like,
when you're in an infantry unit, you're just always on the fucking move.
Always,
you know, if you're not doing a workup to go overseas, you're getting sent to, just like you said, all these schools to
you
fucking
go to the field.
Yeah, to get better. You know what I mean? Yeah. Fuck. So, eventually, did you pull yourself out of it?
Yeah. I say yeah, but it took a while.
Yeah.
So the first time, our son definitely brought us back together, and then I was like, maybe I should join the Army again. Like, so like the recruiter kept calling me for the reserves a bunch, and I kept denying his calls. So I was like, I'm not going back. But then I realized like maybe I need like a little bit more stability, and I wasn't ready to get out. So let me go back in. So I went back into the reserves, and I did that, and I was like, let me do this for a few years. I'll try to transition out again, or I'll stay in depending on what I want to do. And so I got out, or I went back into the reserves, and I did a little over 2 years there. And I actually loved it. Like, my unit was incredible. I was down at 301st PSYOP down in San Diego, and amazing unit. You know, got to do really cool training. They're airborne unit.
Nice.
Like, just PSYOP unit, so like it's part of the special operations community. So there's just so much cool stuff about that unit, and I couldn't speak high enough of them.
Nice.
And so I really enjoyed my time down there. The guys and everybody there was incredible. But I ended up getting out again, and that transition was rough too, because I was like, all right, I'm gonna get out now and figure something else out. So like, tried to go to school, like signed up for college. Didn't want to do that. Was like working odd and end jobs. Didn't want to do any of that. Like, I just had a huge loss of identity again, and just fell into like depression. I was drinking a ton, and like partying a bunch, just trying to like wash away like reality, you know?
Yeah,
Like my reality was like just drink and like, you know, like
forget about it.
sleep during the day, or just like avoid your problems, and then like drink at night. And that was like not good, you know, and that's what caused me and my wife to like split again. And so I did that for like a while, until like, I'd say probably like 2019, probably around then, 2018, like 2019, beginning of then, I started like come about like fixing my life. And it's because I started skateboarding again. I attribute a lot of it to.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so I wasn't skating until like the end of 2018, beginning of 2019. Like, I hadn't skated. And so I started skateboarding again, and I was like, wow, this is a really big part of my life that I like didn't realize I'd just set aside completely. And started skateboarding again, and like through that I just climbed out of like that rut, you know, like
Nice.
I had a release for all these problems. I had like an activity or a hobby or a joy, something to like push towards or like improve on and progress through, and like reconnect with friends without just going to get fucked up.
Yeah.
And that brought me into like finding the people I'm with now.
Yeah.
You know, in that community. And like that was a huge.
Yeah, let's talk about that, man. What are you guys doing now? Oh, but before I see you have your wedding ring on. So did everything work out with your wife? You guys are good, and
yeah, no, we're good now. We went through, man, years of problems. You know, so we're good now. We have two beautiful children.
Awesome.
You know, we live in Laguna Niguel.
nice.
It's incredible.
That's great.
And she's amazing. She's a school teacher, and she's like one of the most incredible mothers.
That's
in the
great to
world,
hear,
man.
man. That's
She's
awesome.
She's awesome.
Yeah, so let's talk about it, man, because I fucking watch you guys all over the fucking internet doing some fucking shooting, skating. So talk to me a little bit about what you guys got going on.
Yeah, so I ended up linking up with Benji Manabog. He's the owner of Thrash and Raid Skateboards.
Okay.
And like right now we go by TNR. And man, he's an amazing dude.
Yeah.
And so I linked up with him. Originally, I just found his company, and I was like, all right, I want to ride for that company. You know, like, I want to skateboard. I want to pursue more in skateboarding. That's the company I would, like, if I had to pick a company to ride for, I want it to be something that, like, I connect with and I love and I'm a part of. And so I found him, and I was like, this is it. So I reached out to him, and he was like, let's link up and hang out, you know? So I met up with him and Angel Cortez of OG Pumpkin on the same day. And through that first like encounter with them, became both of them like two of my best friends in the world.
Nice.
And at the time, OG Pumpkin was already established pretty well, but Thrash and Raid was still growing. And so I was like, I want to ride for you and be a part of you. So I've just become more involved in everything going on with them. I'm a pro skateboarder for Thrash and Raid.
Fucking A,
I'm
dude.
sponsored by OG Pumpkin.
Awesome.
And Benji and I, and then Riley Whitcomb and Nick Lay, we are the founders and the board members of 6 Feet Above, which is a veteran nonprofit that we run using skateboarding to connect and support other veterans. So we fly out veterans from all over the country.
That's rad.
And just do these retreats and these events and just hang out with them and share their stories with each other and connect. And like, it's really cool because they have this huge support system.
Yeah.
And, you know, like the group chats, they continue on past the retreats. So you spend this whole weekend together doing all these cool things and having a good time. And then they have someone to reach out to when they get home, you know.
That's awesome.
So,
what about the company before you knew Benji and Angel drew you to them? Because, you know, you seemed real adamant about wanting to ride for them.
Yeah. So a lot of different things about it. So I grew up in Southern California. Mm-hmm. So I've already had ties to like California culture in general.
Right.
You know, like skateboarding and like in and out and just like this type of lifestyle down here. And so like the original concept or like logo for Thrash and Raid was like an in and out inspired logo. And I was like, that's awesome. And then when I looked at everything, I'm like a punk rock hardcore kid. Like I grew up like a little punk hardcore kid, like listening to like Minor Threat and Black Flag and like a bunch of different like hardcore bands and stuff, like Gorilla Biscuits and Youth of Today. And when I looked at the company, a lot of his stuff was like punk and hardcore inspired. And I'm like, whoa, like it's like California stuff and it's like punk rock stuff and it's skateboarding. And then I looked into it more and he's like, we're also veterans. And I was like, and he's a veteran? I was like, dude, what the hell?
That's awesome.
So I was like, I think I'm like supposed to ride for this company. Like, I'm not like a religious person, but if like God made a company, like this would be the
right.
So I was like, that's
dope, man.
That's super rad. So
that's fucking awesome.
Yeah, there was a lot that drew me to Thrash and Raid.
Nice, man.
And then being involved with them, I realized that like it wasn't necessarily like the look and feel of the company, but it was more the connection with Benji.
Yeah.
And like the people that I've connected with, you know, following that.
Nice, man.
You know.
That's fucking awesome. You found your place. You know what I mean?
Found a real family with like everybody there.
You get to skate with great fucking people, vets, and you're fucking serving a purpose. Man.
Yeah.
That's fucking great, man.
Yeah. The work that we get to do, that, you know, this whole setup that Benji's created is like beautiful. You know, we get to help like our community do a bunch of events, throwing out boards and helping out kids. Especially like I grew up not wealthy, you know, I grew up like very underprivileged. Didn't get new boards ever, riding crappy shoes and nobody really looking out for you. And so it's cool to go to these communities where it's like, I remember being that kid.
Yeah.
And like watching Angel and Benji just like, here's stuff, you know, like go skate, go have fun. Like there's a positive life out there. There's like, you know, support systems and like you can be super rad, especially people like Angel with such an incredible story.
Yeah.
And Benji was such an incredible story, you know. Benji
awesome.
was like a drug addict.
Wow.
Like little punk drug addict kid, like doing drugs under bridges and stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
With like homeless people. Like, turned his life around, became Marsoc Raider, you know, owner of TNR.
Nice.
6 Feet Above CEO, and then Angel Cortez, same thing. He was a gang member turned Army Ranger, now like community leader, you know.
That's fucking
so
awesome.
Both those dudes are like my heroes, and I think that they are incredible people.
Well, I enjoy watching you guys do your thing, man.
Appreciate
that. You guys are out there looking like you're having a fucking blast while helping the community at the same time.
Yeah,
like
every time.
You guys fucking inspire the fuck out of me, man.
Appreciate that.
So keep up that great work, man.
Thank you.
And I look forward to meeting some of these guys, man.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we're gonna get ready to wrap it up, man. But before I do, any last words?
Yeah, if you haven't checked out, like Thrash and Raid, TNR skateboards, please do. And then OG Pumpkin, it's run by Angel Cortez. Check that out. And then if you want to support directly our nonprofit, it's 6 Feet Above. Oh man, what's our website? I think it's 6feetabove.org.
Okay.
I'll have to double check. I'll send you the link so you can put
it.
You can put it right here in the description.
Yeah.
So
no problem, man.
Yeah, I'll send you all the links for everything. But those are the 3 companies to support or organizations to support.
Yeah. And I'm sure they could fucking go on it, social media, just fucking search it. And
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah,
they're not hard to find.
TNR Skateboards, OG Pumpkin, and then 6 Feet Above.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for being here, Logan.
I appreciate you, man.
Big contribution for Urban Valor, man. I don't have nothing without you guys sitting here and sharing your story, honestly, man.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
I really appreciate it. And fucking keep inspiring the fuck out of people, brother.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Push it to the limit, I can't go no more. Red light, no way, I'm coming back home. Long dirt road, all on my own. I'ma be the greatest, write my name in the stone. Write my name in the stone. Yeah, I'm coming back.